Hey guys, we are back with another flush video here. We have Megatank, and it's a pretty interesting setup. It's on the mid tank, and the base is one of my earlier prototype toilets that I showed in the last video with the BMG miniature logo on there that's glazed in. You can see I actually made a little custom setup here with the holes. You can see some more narrow holes that I cut so that it would fit the narrow holes in this base. And I actually made a smaller seal to fit in there as well so that we could do this setup. This has a very interesting flush. I've never had this setup, so check this out. So this is quite the impressive flush for this little thing. I did the same setup with my other prototype base that is just plain without the BMG miniature logo on it, and it mainly just ran the siphon jet. I think a lot of the rim jets in that one are actually clogged, probably glazed shut. And so I decided, hey, let's flush something here. So I got out these little mini colored pom-pom balls from my 500th subscriber episode, and to see how these flush. And as you can see, it handles these pretty well. One little pom-pom that refused to go down. And I believe this next part, I just fill the bowl up with the pom-poms instead of pouring them in. Yeah, so we got the bowl filled up, and Megatank is full again. And this one, unfortunately, does not really, it really doesn't hardly flush any of them, but it still flushes. It doesn't really adversely affect the flush. You can see it's still doing its thing. And most of them are just sort of sitting there. I think they sort of get clumped up when they're in that position like that, but not in a way that would really obstruct the trapway, that type thing. And then we turn the other bathroom light on for a little extra light. So this time, these are... okay, so these are dry. Dried out the little pom-pom balls. Tried it again. I think that the first try with these, with the bowl full, they were wet, and this time I think I dried them out and poured them in, so it was more successful. And interestingly, with pouring them in to the toilet as it flushes, they do better going in dry as well. So we're going to do another flush, but these are wet. I didn't dry these out, and you can see that clogged it up. So they're the same little pom-poms that I poured in the very first time, but because they're wet going in, I think it allowed them to clump up easier inside of the trapway. I think when they're dry, it sort of takes a little bit of time for them to absorb the water and get weighted down and clumped up. So I think that's why they flush better when they're dry. Whether you're pouring them in or whether you just like pour a pile of them, I think they do better when they're dry. So here's another attempt, and these are wet again. I'm going to pour these in. And it does pretty good, but it still ultimately clumps. Put a little finger poke there to help them out, and see it still clogs it up. But luckily I have my handy mini plunger. Just going to put not quite a full tank, but enough to see what this does. And it's actually not a complete clog. You can tell by the little like slurping, whistling, I guess slurping / whistling sound that it's still, the siphonic action is still sucking, trying to pull it out, but it's, you know, clogged. So it's not obviously not a complete clog, because if it was a complete clog, no water would go through at all. So this is, here we go with the plunger again. All right, so this time we're going to flush and get some water going before plunging. Look, watch how many of these come out. And apparently it's still even slightly clogged. So this is the very last time, really full tank, and one more session of pouring wet pom-poms into there to see if it'll take them. And again, clogging towards the end of the flush. So we have another attempt at unclogging with the mini plunger. And nope, dropped it. A desperate attempt to unclog it, and boom! Plunger is stuck in the trapway opening.